Hi everybody, my name is Stefan Sopic. I'm part of engineering leadership at Parity. And today I want to talk about the thing that I'm guessing brought us all here today, which is the promise of Web3. I know Bill talked about quite a bit about that before me, so I'll just say that for me Web3 is a fully decentralized, trustless web that people can use without any intermediaries. Today, estimated 70% of transactions on the second biggest chain are being submitted by a single entity. Let that sink in. So that entity has a name, has an owner, has an address, and has its own interests. And those interests might be different than your interests. And maybe even the owner of that entity, one of the owners of that entity is JP Morgan. Right? You never know. So you wouldn't be surprised that when people from South America and Iran were being shut out from the protocol earlier in this year and in response to US sanctions. So this is exactly what happened to Web 2, right? We, just by following this infrastructure as a basis, where you have a bunch of clients being connected to the centralized server, this was actually how Web 2 became what it is today. And why this happened was mainly because the clients wanted to use a very easy, simple, and cheap services. And so the service providers were gathering all these people, and those qualities are actually quite important in the early days of any technology, of any adoption of any technology. And as the Web 2 grew and as the number of people grew, so did the level of control of these service providers over the protocol itself. Which brings us to today, where we have a situation where the biggest service providers are actually in control of the protocol itself. So how is this? How Web3 was supposed to be better, right? Web3 was supposed to be better because it's based on the blockchain protocol, and blockchain is actually a decentralized peer-to-peer network with validator nodes all over the world. They're connecting to each other. And through consensus algorithms, agreeing on a joint state. And yeah, and we have users of this network also spread out throughout the world that want to interact with the protocol. So what is happening there? Well, this is happening. So users are actually all using centralized access points to get through the protocol. And those centralized access points are JSON RPC nodes. So what is the unfortunate truth here is that we actually have a decentralized protocol that is the basis for the Web3, and then we have users who just want to interact with the protocol in an easy and simple way. Just basically use their dapps or wallets, and that's it. And right now, for them to interact with the protocol directly, they actually need to have a substantial technical knowledge of running your own node, the money to pay for it, and additional tooling that is needed to interact and maintain that. Or they can use a centralized access points. And basically, the part where people can interact directly with the protocol is missing. And so why does this even matter, right? Well, I would say that this matters for three main groups of reasons. And the first one is possibility of censorship or hijacking, which is actually, if you have a centralized access point, having someone else put pressure on that access point. And that pressure could be institutional pressure or external pressure that is coming from governments or financial institutions. And that can be good for good reasons or bad reasons, and really depends on your belief system. Actually, it doesn't even depend on your belief system. It depends on alignment of your belief system with the institution in question. So we basically are back to trusting in this case. Also, the other pressure that could be exerted of a centralized access point from the outside is a malicious pressure, right? From a hacker or something. I know this is almost inconceivable in the blockchain space because we never have hacks or anything like that, but this is, if you can imagine that, that actually is possible through this. Now, the second group of reasons is just basic engineering. It's reliability. If you have a centralized access point to a protocol, you have a single point of failure. And even like bugs, I know that also that doesn't happen in the blockchain space. We never have bugs, but like if potentially we did, this would be a big problem. And this actually happened before. And it happened with Ethereum, where majority of users for 5 hours were being prevented from submitting transactions. And they were following the wrong chain. And the bug was fixed, and of course, from all everything we know, this was done in a really professional way, but it just illustrates the point that we're not going in the right direction. And front-running problems. So this is the group of problems which are coming from the entity itself manipulating the centralized access points. Because from the entity's perspective, all the transactions are very transparent. They know exactly what is coming up. So they could actually, for monetary gain, time their transaction, put their transactions in a block in a way that would benefit them. Or they can start collecting IP addresses of everybody who uses the protocol itself and promise to all of us that they are not going to use those IP addresses for anything malicious. Now, I know that this sounds like I'm dunking on Ethereum, but this is really not the case. This set of problems exists in every single blockchain ecosystem. It's just that Ethereum has been, I guess, the most profitable to do these things on, and hence it has the most public embarrassment cases, I guess, embarrassing cases. But there is a solution. And solution for this is Substrate Connect. And this is an ingenious piece of tech that basically embeds light clients in the browser. Now, what does that give us? The light clients are actually the lighter version of the nodes that don't actually need as much memory. They don't have as much code, and they don't weigh the same. They don't have the database. They pull the state on demand. And basically what they allow, but they're in any other way, they're acting like any other node. And basically what that allows you is to interact with the protocol directly. So we are now capable of spinning up a light node as an end user and actually interacting directly with the protocol. Now, what is Substrate Connect? So when we're talking about light nodes, and when we're talking about the early stages of technology, what was so important was actually the fact that it was seamless, easy, fast, and cheap to use. And this is exactly what we're achieving with Substrate Connect. Substrate Connect allows us to use those light nodes in a way that from the user's perspective, they don't even know that the light node is being used. For them, the experience is exactly as seamless as it would be through a JSON RPC node. And for the developer, it's as easy as changing the provider from the RPC to the Substrate Connect provider. So Substrate Connect, what Substrate Connect is actually two things. It's the library, which is a ready-made JavaScript NPM library that you can install today in your dApp. And it's an extension, which is optional, and you can have it in Firefox or Chrome. And so what this actually does, so the the library itself in your dApp spins up, syncs with the chain, checks if there is an actually checks if there is an extension. If there isn't, syncs with the chain, and then allows you to do in a couple of seconds, and then allows you to do any type of interaction that you need. If there is an extension, that is actually a little bit better because it optimizes the caching and the speed and the multiple connections that you may have through different tabs, for example, that connect to different chains or different tabs. So we have been talking about full nodes, big ones, complicated ones, difficult to use. We've talked about light nodes. We talked about JSON RPC nodes, which are nodes with the public access. We didn't talk about archive, but that's not really necessary for this conversation. And the final type of node is boot nodes. And the reason why I'm showing you this is there are no assumptions in Substrate Connect about what the truth is. You do get Substrate Connect shipped with the support, out-of-the-box support for the 4 main chains, as we call them, which is Polkadot, Kusama, Rococo, and West End. But with minimal configuration, you can actually make sure that Substrate Connect actually works on any substrate-based chain or parachain. And with boot nodes being a fully editable list, I mean, boot nodes for full nodes are basically picked up from ChainSpec, and they're not as important because they are only used a couple of times in the lifetime of a node. But in the light nodes, they are used pretty oftenly, and they are fully editable list where you can actually remove the default ones and add your own. As well, here we can see the example of an extension being connected to the chain. Actually, this maybe is not the best example because it just shows a single connection to a chain, but you can actually have multiple dApps being connected to the extension so that you have actual full control over what is happening in your interaction with the chain through the light node. Some of the projects integrating with Substrate Connect. So obviously, like I put here some of the main projects that are integrating. I just want to point out here that on Decoded, I heard from Talisman guys that the integration of Substrate Connect took around 30 minutes, which is pretty cool. And just show, like, the main point of this slide was to tell you that Substrate Connect is production ready. It does exist. You can actually use it today, and you can use it in production today. I mean, I'm guessing most of you are familiar with Polka.js. So in Polka.js, when in the part where you choose the chain, which is the upper left part, you can actually, instead of a random JSON RPC provider, you can choose a light node and interact with your favorite chain. Which brings us to the next slide, and this is a call to all the front-end developers to actually start using the Substrate Connect. We have been testing it and using it for a while, and we are very happy with what it is. There are many things that we can optimize right now. We're working on Manifest v3 and WebRTCs and things like that, but we want to have the other types of problems. We want to have the problems of too many people using it and optimize for that. And we want as many people basically using Substrate Connect in their dApps, providing users this fully seamless experience and helping us basically fulfill this Web3 promise that was made so long ago to all of us, which is a fully decentralized web. So I think that's it. I just want to use this opportunity to thank the Substrate Connect team, who was led by Pierre Krieger in Parity, and we have Nikos here, who's one of the core devs.